What is going on, Eagles Nation? Welcome to today's episode of the Weekly Chirp. Stephen Hellmann here alongside Tom Aresco, Views from the Link TV, and first day camp. First day camp. Not full camp, 38 players there. Supposed to be 90 on Wednesday, and then the first team practice on Thursday, but all the QBs are there. Jalen Mills is there. I mean, they had some press conferences today. I mean, we're in it. It's back. It's back. It's football is starting, and it's just fantastic.
Jalen Mills with the green hair. They're calling him the Green Goblin.
And he was all over. They said he broke up like every single pass that came near.
That came to his way. Yeah, that's what I read. I don't know if someone was literally just like messing around when they said that or.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's real. I mean, there's probably not many passes. They didn't do much complex stuff. But it's good to see a guy like that out there, and maybe we do get one of those gems. I know it's early in his career; he's got a long way to go, but maybe he's one of those gems.
Yeah,
that we just found.
We were talking about this earlier, but just saying, like, man, if we could just hit on one of these late draft picks and get a guy like how Richard Sherman was a late draft pick, something like that, where you just you just took a flyer on some guy and it just worked out perfectly.
Cam Chancellor was a late pick, 6th rounder, I think.
Yeah, Seahawks got lucky.
Gosh,
really lucky.
Yeah,
that's how they built their secondary.
Exactly. That's how you keep. That's how you win for a while in the NFL, because you have to draft good players that are like cheap also. Like Jalen Mills, say he turns into a starting cornerback. Well, he's going to be on a 7th round contract for the next 2 years at least. So hopefully we can hit on a couple of those guys, and that's how you build toward a Super Bowl.
No, absolutely huge. And Bradford had his press conference today, and he's going to be Doug Peterson saying that
Bradford's the guy.
Bradford's the guy, and that's what you need going forward, because if you can flip Bradford for a 2nd round pick, and next year's draft, where we should probably get a running back. If we have 2 picks in the 2nd round.
I still say offensive line is.
I think you go offensive line and running back next year. I know we're looking way ahead here, but but there's so many running backs. So if you don't have a 1st round pick, well, you already have your franchise quarterback Carson Wentz, and there's so many running backs. You could probably get a good one high in the 2nd round, and you get right tackle, whatever.
And another player.
So
you never know.
So I think they're set up for a good spot here, but you need Bradford to ball out this year, in your best interest for him to do well. And
because it doesn't hurt to sit Carson Wentz. It really doesn't. A lot of people think the only way to learn is when you throw him in there, and people say oh, you gave up all this to get him, and now he's not even going to start. Well, you could look at that either way. You could look at it like, well, we gave a lot up to get him, so. Don't ruin them. Don't just throw them in there. There's plenty of examples either way. Rodgers, Rivers, some of the more notable guys that turned into really good players. And then you have on the flip side of that, you have guys like
Cam Newton,
RG3. Cam Newton didn't sit. RG3 didn't sit. Andrew Luck didn't sit. So RG3 obviously hasn't worked out that well. But there's guys that came right in and played from day one and were stars. Peyton Manning. Brady obviously didn't play because he was a 6th overall pick or 6th round pick. But there's just different situations in everyone. It's that simple. You could go back and forth on examples of this guy did it and this guy didn't and da-da-da. The bottom line is everyone's different, and if Carson Wentz, if they feel like they want to get him to absorb the offense, learn the playbook, and be ready before he goes into game action, then that's in the best interest of him and the team, and Doug Peterson's job's tied to this guy. So don't just throw him in there. Let's at least see how he plays, see how he's adjusting. And look, a rookie, some plays he's going to look unbelievable, like he has the best arm ever, like he's the smartest quarterback ever, and then other plays he's going to look like a rookie. So the impatience of people will, you want him to start, but then he's going to be so up and down, and you're going to be, why is this guy even in the game if he can't, it's like he gives you 2 good quarters, and then he gives you 2 bad quarters, and I just would rather avoid all that. Let him absorb it. He'll still go through some of that, but the more ready he is to play in the playbook and all that, the better. And if he wins the job outright and we just can't not start him come week 1, then go ahead, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to go through his fair share of learning. I think it's going to be good for him to observe how guys play the position. It kind of goes back to Jalen Mills, Eric Rowe on the bench behind Leotis McKelvin and Nolan Carroll. Especially Eric Rowe, because people are worried about him. Elliot Shore-Parks wrote an article about maybe them moving on from Rowe already. But we've been watching a lot of old games, and you see Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent, 2 guys that Jim Johnson was very comfortable with. as his veteran starting cornerbacks, but then they drafted a couple other guys, Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown, and they stepped in when those two veterans moved on. They got to watch how guys that Jim Johnson trusted and liked their style of play, they got to watch them play every day in practice, every day on the games. They would get in the games. Sheldon Brown was in a couple plays. Guys get hurt. Guys will get playing time. You'll get playing time, especially if you're good. But to have that luxury of having that veteran player be on the field when the game starts and when most of the action's going, and you can kind of work in when you're comfortable, that helps going forward. And Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown were two really good corners for us.
Definitely.
Going forward. So I think it's good to have young guys sit on the bench behind, especially in a new coaching regime, to watch how the coaches that are there now like the corners to play, or like the quarterbacks to play, or whatever, anything like the running backs to play. They'll learn that, and then they'll be more prepared when they go out on the field. Because once you go out on the field, it's you against it's you and your 10 guys around you against everyone, and you don't have anything to lean on or look to. You have to make a play. So watching from the sideline, observing it, absorbing the NFL, I think it's great for the culture moving forward, and just great for this team.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely building a team to win long term. I think that's the key here by having these guys. Some of these guys here on 1-year deals, like Nolan Carroll, Lewis McKell's on a 2-year deal, but you had these guys that, like you said, like they're going to be able to learn. The guys like Bro and Mills, where you see like a legitimate future in. You're like, okay, you guys learn this, Carson Wentz, learn how it's done, and then when it's your time, you're gonna be ready to rock. There's not gonna be as many growing pains. There will be, things will happen, but like they'll be able to like come in there and perform well and know exactly what is expected of them, because they're gonna see what Lewis McKell is going to do. Carson Wentz is gonna see what Bradford does, gonna see what he does well, what he doesn't do well. Chase Daniel, exactly. So they have all these guys that are just gonna be waiting in the wings to come and play, whether that's next year. Some of them might have to come in this year too, or some might be like 2 years from now. Like maybe some guys on the offensive line.
Isaac Seumalo, like guys like that. So I think this draft class is huge for just to line Doug Peterson's. First it's just like a bowl and it's empty because Doug Peterson just started coaching, and that lining is this draft class. That small lining at the bottom, and then everyone's going to be built around this draft class. That's what my feeling is.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more with that. But like you said, we were watching old Eagles games, and like honestly, if you have a good defensive line, like what we have with Reid, you have a decent offensive line, which we're working towards. Good secondary. We probably have the best safety tandem in football right now. You can win. You can win like that. I mean, Eagles were making it look easy. We were just watching random games from like 2002 season, 2003, not even remembering what the outcomes of the game were, but just by watching these guys play. We didn't have any like big flashy players on offense, but we had a good line. We had a good system.
Good quarterback.
Great quarterback, and and the screen passes was working, which hopefully we can get back this year. But I mean that. Just seeing that, like that's how they built the team to win long term, because they had these guys that they would draft and come in,
and
everyone did their job. Even Todd Pinkston.
Yeah,
we were like, Todd Pinkston wasn't that bad.
Yeah, he was making big plays, long receiver, and J-Matt is like, he's got a little more talent than Todd Pinkston. So someone like that, people are worried. But a great quarterback spreads the ball around so much. McNabb in the one game we watched hit 10 different receivers. 10 different receivers caught the ball. So I mean, who cares if one guy has 10 catches or you hit 10 different receivers? I mean, you're making everyone a weapon. You're obviously shredding a defense if you're hitting 10 different receivers all over the field. Guys like Greg Lewis making big plays, who's now our receiver coach. I mean, he was good for a big play every game. Pinkston was one of those guys you could just throw the ball up to. Even James Thrash, remember on 4th down, he caught that ball and spun around and scored against Atlanta in the playoffs. Before we had a big name receiver in T.O. So if you have a good quarterback and these guys just become reliable targets for him, catch the ball, make the tough play, make plays themselves, you can have a good offense. And I think that this offense is going to be built like that.
Yeah, and it definitely, it starts with the quarterback and the offensive line. I mean, you guys saw, like, when Kirk Cousins has time, he was picking us apart. But and if any quarterback has time, guys will eventually get open. Even James Thrash would get open. Freddie Mitchell would get open. Greg Lewis would get open. John Ritchie would get open. These guys would eventually get open. So
Donovan would buy time, or the line would block.
And you got a guy with Carson Wentz that will most likely be able to move around like Donovan can, which is going to be huge for us. So that's it for us, guys, on this episode. We will see you on Thursday for Bird Buzz. If anything crazy happens at camp, we will, definitely break that news. But I'm sure on Wednesday we're gonna have some great questions. If we're ready for Thursday. So when you guys are ready, fire those questions. The fantasy leagues are starting up soon. So Great time to be alive. Great time to be alive.
It's a great time. It's time for the Eagles to come back, and it's, they're going to be welcomed with open wings, if you will.
Open wings, yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time.